Hey guys, it's been a while since we did one of these History of Pirates series, but we are back at it again, covering real life pirates, which inspired Echiiro Oda to create his characters. But this time, we are covering Big Mom, who is known as Charlotte Linlin. And guys, before we start, if you guys like the series and want us to continue on them, remember to hit that like button and notification bell, along with listing the characters you want us to cover next. And don't forget to catch up on the other episodes of the series if you haven't done so. And with all that out the way, let's begin. Now, Big Mom or Charlotte Linlin is said to be inspired by many different pirates to other figures from all scopes. For instance, Big Mom shares her actual name with the real life pirates Charlotte Badger and Charlotte D. Berry. Another prominent historical figure who is also said to be the foundation for her character is King George III of England, who was well known for his fits of mental illness that caused him to become unpredictable and easily provoked. Big Mom also follows a very notable royal theme as well, and the icing on the cake is that King George's wife was named Charlotte, just like Big Mom's real name. Another inspiration for Big Mom was from Lewis Carroll's Alice in the Wonderland novel. Big Mom's character is very similar to the main antagonist of the novel, the Queen of Hearts. They both are very alike in their appearance of being obese and abnormal size. With the rounded nose and wide grin, their personality is also similar, as they are both very selfish and have tendencies to order the execution of others. However, I won't be going over any of these figures. Instead, the one I will be focusing on is the real life pirate Madame Ching, or Ching Shih, who is one of the most feared female pirates from history. Ignoring her name, Ching Shih has many similarities with Big Mom, and it isn't far-fetched to say that Echiiro Oda was inspired from her in creating Big Mom's character. One of the main similarities includes the fact that both Big Mom and Ching Shih utilized their husbands to gain power and reign the seas with the strength of their large fleet. There are many other similarities from both female pirates being a huge superpower of the seas during their era. But guys, a quick disclaimer here is that there are also a lot of differences between these two pirates, and the main reason I'm going to cover the life of Ching Shih is because she is super badass and probably the most worthy pirate to be compared to Big Mom. So now let's get into the life of this feared pirate Ching Shih, who came from nothing to being one of the most powerful forces who dominated and controlled the seas around Southeast Asia. Ching Shih was born in Guangdong province of China in 1775, and her birth name was actually Shi Xiang Gu. I'm most definitely butchering her name with my bad pronunciations. Forgive me, Madame Ching. Anywho, little is actually known about Ching Shih's early life, but at a young age, she became a prostitute who worked in a floating brothel in Canton, the capital of Guangdong. During her time as a prostitute, she was said to be an extremely beautiful and a shrewd businesswoman. Her bizarre adventures started in 1801 at the age of 26, when the pirate Zheng Yi, who was infamously known for commanding a fleet of ships called the Red Flag Fleet, fell in love with Zheng Shi and had wished to have her for himself. Now, there are different accounts of how they actually came together. According to some sources, Zheng Yi sent a raid and ordered them to plunder the brothel and commanded that they bring Ching Shih back to him. The men did as they were ordered, and Zheng Yi and Ching Shih were married. However, there are other sources which tells a more loving story, where Zheng Yi simply asks Ching Shih to marry him. She agreed to his proposal so long as she would have some power within his organization, and then would receive an equal share of his plunder. While these accounts differ as to how they actually came together, Ching Shih and Zheng Yi actually began to run the Red Flag Fleet together. The first account would seem unlikely, as both Shi and Yi were sharing authority, so it's safe to assume that Ching Shih negotiated her way into power from a unique situation. Zheng Yi also belonged to a family of successful pirates who traced their criminal origins back to the mid-17th century, and while Zheng Shi was pretty much new to this, she was able to learn and pick up a lot during her time with her husband. With Ching Shih and her newlywed husband Zheng Yi side by side, the Red Flag Fleet quickly grew from 200 ships to more than 600 ships, and eventually to around 1,800 ships. Their fleet was color-coded, with the main fleet being red. and the remaining fleets black, white, blue, yellow and green. Zheng Yi used military assertion and his reputation to consolidate a coalition of competing Cantonese pirates fleets into an alliance, along with forming the Cantonese Pirate Coalition with another pirate, Echiiro. By 1804, this coalition was a formidable force, making the Red Flag Fleet the most powerful pirate fleet in all of China, if not the entire sea. Throughout Ching Shih's and Zheng Yi's time together, they adopted Chiang Po as the legal stepson. Chiang Po was a boy who was kidnapped at the age of 15 by Zheng Yi a couple of years back in 1798 from a Tangkun fisherman, and after recognizing the boy's talents, Zheng Yi pressed him into piracy. Chiang Po's natural talent helped him adapt well to his unplanned new career, and he rose swiftly through the ranks, becoming second in command to Zheng Yi. There were also some rumors that Zheng Yi took the young boy as a lover, but this wasn't odd around those times. In 1807, only 6 years after marrying Ching Shih, Zheng Yi had died during a storm in Vietnam. Now there are some rumors and speculation of Ching Shih being responsible for his death, although there is no evidence to suggest this, but a mere conjecture. Regardless on how he had died, Ching Shih had just lost her husband. A quick fact to note is that Ching Shih is also pronounced as Zheng Shi, which simply means Zheng's widow, and she only obtained that name after the death of Zheng Yi, while before that she was most likely referred to as her real name, Shi Xiang Gu, or probably Zheng Yi Sao, which means the wife of Zheng. Once again guys, I probably messed up those pronunciations, so please forgive me. Anywho, at the time of Zheng Yi's death, the Red Flag Fleet included approximately 50,000 to 70,000 pirates. Ching Shih, wishing not to go back to her life of prostitution, like who would want to do that, right? She knew that this was her only opportunity to rise and become a powerful pirate lord. She could have simply stepped down from the group, allowing her stepson Chiang Po and Zheng Yi's second in command to take over. However, Ching Shih craved the power and the glory of becoming the leader of the Red Flag Fleet. She basically wanted to become the pirate queen. She knew if she quickly solidified the partnership with her stepson Chiang Po, she would be able to take control. So she did. How, you may ask? Well, by sleeping with him. Yes, basically she made love with her stepson. Chiang Po would then give the support to her and become her second in command of the Red Flag Fleet. Chiang Po and Ching Shih would later marry and become partners. Now, although Ching Shih had the support of Zheng Yi's relatives, including her stepson, who recently also became her lover, Ching Shih was still afraid that the other crewmates would get wary of a woman in power, so she established a strict system of law within the Red Flag Fleet, where if you did not follow those rules or stepped up, you would get your head chopped off. And she wasn't playing around. Here's a couple of her rules that she set up. If you disobey an order, decapitation. If you steal anything from the common plunder before it's divided up, decapitation. If you rape anyone without permission from the leader of your squadron, decapitation. Even if you have consensual sex with anyone while on duty, you'd still get your head chopped off, and the woman involved would get something heavy strapped onto her and then tossed into the ocean. Basically, she would be drowned to death. If you loot or harass a town or ship of anyone who has paid their tribute or tax, decapitation. If you take a shore leave without permission, then decapitation. Ching Shih was a very practical woman and wouldn't do unnecessary things. For instance, if a woman who was considered ugly was captured, she would then be set free unharmed. However, if a pretty woman was captured, then she would be divided up or purchased by the members of the Red Flag Fleet. However, if a pirate was awarded or purchased a pretty woman, he was then considered to be married to her, and it was expected to treat her accordingly, with loyalty and respect. Basically, be a faithful husband. And if you didn't, well, you guys should get the gist. Decapitation. So you guys could probably imagine that a lot of heads were flying about. After a while, no one would dare to challenge her authority, and her ability to show power made the members of the fleet feel reassured with the leadership of the crew. And if you ever wanted to leave the organization, you could have, but you had to give up your heirs in return. Basically, have them chopped off. Other punishment she would venture in would have included flogging, quartering, and clapping in irons. Ching Shih was a strict and regimented pirate lord. She focused much on business and military strategy. She even went to great lengths to form an ad hoc government under which her pirates were bounded to and protected by laws and taxes. Now with Ching Shih's lover and first mate Cao Pao leading their troops in raids, Ching Shih was able to continue growing the business side of things, along with planning future military strategies. At the Red Flag Fleet's peak in 1810, Ching Shih commanded about 1800 ships and around 70,000 to 80,000 pirates, and she had about 17,000 male pirates directly under her control, the rest being other pirate groups who agreed to work with her. She also had female pirates, children, spies, farmers who were willing to supply food, among many other workers. This is actually really crazy if you think about it. Like, you have to compare her to the famed Blackbeard, who only commanded 4 ships and 300 pirates within the same century. In the term of size, she was literally like Big Mom compared to Blackbeard within the One Piece universe. Ching Shih pretty much controlled nearly the entire Guangdong province. She held a vast spy network within the Qing dynasty and dominated the South Chinese Sea. Because of the control Ching Shih had, she was able to utilize her power to the best possible way. She started monitoring the seas and was able to guarantee safe passage through it to any merchant who wanted to pay. However, if they didn't pay, the merchant and the other transports were pretty much fair game for her pirates. Now, just like Big Mom, Ching Shih claimed many lands under her protection for a fee, and her fleet took leadership over many coastal villages, sometimes even imposing tolls and taxes on the villages. These coastal villages stretched from Macau to Canton. Ching Shih was called the Terror of South China. She would cruelly punish those who resisted her by nailing their feet to her ship's deck and beating the life out of them. Some claim that Ching Shih was also an opium smuggler, while others claim she just stuck mainly to looting, robbing, and taxing the villages her pirates raided. However, all agreed that she was a force to be reckoned with. Now, a while later, in the late 1809, under the leadership of Ching Shih, the Red Flags were unstoppable. The Qing dynasty of China had to request help from other nations and teamed up with the Portuguese and the British Navy, along with many Dutch ships, paying them large sums for their help. However, even this coalition against the Red Flag Fleet, the government could not stop them. They even sent suicide boats, where the boats were loaded up with straws and explosives, set on fire and launched at the pirates. The Red Flag simply extinguished the flames, repaired the ships, and incorporated them into the fleet. In the end, the pirates lost 40 people and lost not a single ship. The leader of the government's expedition falsified the reports to make himself look better and later committed suicide in shame. However, the combined forces waged war on Ching Shih's organization for 2 years with little success. She won battles after battles until finally the emperor decided to take a different approach. Instead of trying to defeat her, he offered her and most of her organization amnesty. Ching Shih initially rejected the terms of the amnesty treaty. The negotiation between them hit a deadlock. The Chinese government wanted the pirates to kneel before them, and there was disagreement to what would happen to the reserve of the loot. However, later in 1810, Ching Shih unexpectedly showed up at the home of the Governor General of Canton with the intention of working out a peace treaty. The deal that she struck was that the fleet would disband, including giving up most of their ships, and in return they would nearly all be granted amnesty and allowed to keep any loot they had acquired during their time as pirates. The exception were 376 of her crews, which 126 were to be executed and the other 250 received some sort of punishment for their crimes. And to acknowledge this peace, it is said that the governor agreed to witness the marriage of Ching Shih and her stepson first mate lover Chang Pao, which is pretty cool, as one minute you're fighting to death with your enemies and the next you're witnessing their marriage. In the end, Ching Shih actually retired and the government gave over a big chunk of cash, cancelled all warrants for her and made Chang Pao lieutenant in the Chinese Navy. And a cool thing to note is that one of Chang Pao's first acts as a lieutenant was to destroy their old pirate rivals with using the government forces. At this point, Ching Shih ended her career as a pirate and had a son with Chang Pao, and she spent her final years running a brothel and gambling den in Canton. She died as a wealthy and respectable woman at the age of 69 in the year 1844. Ching Shih was one of the few pirates who was able to live in peace after the act of piracy. To some, she is considered the most successful pirates of all times. Let me know what you guys think. Which historical pirates you reckon could challenge her and the Red Flag Fleet at their prime? Well, that pretty much was a brief summary of the life of Ching Shih. If you guys like this video and want to show us some love, remember to hit that like button. And if you want more videos from this series, then make sure to comment what character you want us to cover next on the comment section below, or hit us up on our social media platforms. Alright, with that, I'll see you guys next time.